Yeah, well, welcome everyone to the very first episode of Gentleman's Hall, and my name is Walter. You might have heard me being called Smooth or Smooth Gentleman. I've been interacting with the FYI Nation over the past couple of weeks. For those of you who haven't heard, I first came learning about FYI Nation after I spoke with Tom and he wanted to interview me about an article I did about the collective known as Anonymous. And then we spoke, and now here I am doing my own show on FYNation.com. I've been listening for, I believe, about 2 months now, and just a little background about me and how I came about doing this. I've been in radio before. It's not my first time doing this. It's something I enjoyed. I'm glad to be doing it again. And most of you have probably heard of me from my writing. Going through the things I've already written, we'll go from sports to I even wrote about wrestling for a bit. Now I'm writing about news and a lot of things political, especially during this time of season, is really very fun. And of course, my work on the Collective Anonymous is kind of how I got somewhat of a name. That was kind of unexpected, and that's how the Smooth name kind of stuck. And now, anywhere on the internet, that's kind of what I get called. I'm perfectly fine with that. And so, just to get into a little bit about more about my background and how I got even interested in doing journalism and radio. In college, I actually didn't study journalism. Might as well have political science, journalism, same thing, kind of, when you really think about it. When you're studying political science, you get involved a lot into the journalism aspects and why that's an important role in the process, or it's supposed to be. I'll get into that today in just a little bit about how sometimes it doesn't seem that journalism today really is the check on the political process that it's supposed to be. And that's a little bit of a shame, especially considering how certain things are going on in our political system. And I also, along with political science, I studied philosophy as well. And after I graduated from East Carolina University, I started writing. And the past 3-4 months is when I've been heavily focusing in on investigative journalism and strongly pursuing that and giving that a lot of attention. It's definitely a lot of work, and it's definitely something that this country needs right now, because it's almost gone, especially if you get a lot of your news from cable news, mainstream media. It's just not there anymore. And even a lot of digital, quote-unquote, journalism isn't journalism, is more of just taking a headline, writing 400 words, posting it online, hoping for a lot of clicks. And if you read some of those, I won't directly name websites, but if you read some of those, most of the articles are just, the headlines are clickbait. The content is a lot of ad hominem attacks that the only purpose is to support a certain political ideology. You can find this on the right and left. It's rare to see a publication online that's really tries to be nonpartisan. Like you don't even see the faint effort. And having a partisan bias isn't necessarily the worst thing, as I watch the Young Turks. They tell you you're biased, and that's kind of the good thing about them, is that they'll tell you that, then they will give you sometimes an opinion, sometimes they'll go into great detail about the news and try to present it in a way that's fair, but a lot of times that doesn't happen on the digital front. It's just there to get clicks and make mostly the editor a good amount of money. And that's also the problem in a lot bigger scale with the mainstream media and the corporate influence there that we have. It's really apparent that it's there. It's watching it now. Yeah, I've almost completely stopped. I grew up watching CNN because Fox and MSNBC did not appeal to me. I don't like being told what to think or being presented that way. I actually want to make up my mind for myself. And at the time, I felt CNN was the network that was doing that the best, but that was while Ted Turner was still around with the network. But now, it seems like if you just go to any mainstream television network, you're being presented with, I don't even want to say it's a half-truth. It's more like a corporate commercial all the time, because you're not really getting the news. You're getting what they want you to hear, and that's unfortunate because when even now, with the political election, or the presidential election, going on with the primaries and caucuses getting underway, nobody that's a so-called quote-unquote journalist on mainstream TV has really gone after candidates the way they should have, or they should, especially, and it's almost funny because you keep hearing that the mainstream media has a liberal bias, and that's a narrative that's worked for the GOP, but is not accurate at all. It's shameful how just not accurate that is, but it's a good line those on the far right can go with, the conservatives can go with, when they don't like a question. A CNN cowers away from that. They don't want to be called liberal at all because they want to be the network that's right down the middle. Since you have Fox that's all the way to the right, and you have MSNBC that's, I think a lot of liberals would say it's not as far left as they would like, but it's a lot more left than Fox News, for example, and it's more left than CNN. I believe that's a fair characterization of MSNBC. But even with all of that, you still don't see candidates really getting challenged, especially on the right. I mean, sometimes even Hillary Clinton isn't always challenged the way she should be because of her ties to corporate media, or corporations, corporate media, anything corporate, she has a tie to it. There really is no denying it when you look at her numbers at all, or her campaign fundraising, all that. It's there, it's transparent, but it's not a big deal to her supporters. Why that is, that's up to the individual voter. I can't speak for them, but to me it seems to be a big problem because we need to get that influence, especially out of our media, because our media is supposed to check these politicians. Like even Carly Fiorina, who has out and out lied over and over again about Planned Parenthood in those videos, is not called out on mainstream media as much as she should. The closest I've seen was her interview with Chris Cuomo on CNN. He didn't go all the way, but I'm pretty sure that comes with marching orders from producers that pretty much are saying, yeah, we can't go too far or we'll be called liberal. I have a huge problem with that, because when has it come to the point that facts now have a bias? A fact is a fact no matter which political party it helps. It's a fact. It doesn't matter. A fact is a fact. If it helps a Democrat, it's still a fact. If it helps a Republican, it's still a fact. Media is supposed to present facts. Plain and simple. That's what they're there for. That's what they're supposed to be there for. But even now with Donald Trump as well, he gets away with saying a lot, and a lot of networks are afraid to push back against him because he's like, oh, I just won't talk to you anymore, and it becomes about ratings and that corporate influence. It's more about the money now than it is telling the truth, and that's kind of why I'm here. I want to be a voice with my writing, with this radio show, to point out things that aren't there in the media or just blatantly corrupt with what they're currently doing. And that's a hard word to use, but there's definitely some corruption there. That money definitely does corrupt people, and it changes their opinions, it changes their viewpoints, and they will look at that dollar sign and think, I changed my mind. Thank you for that. So that's kind of why I'm here, and that's why I wanted to get into this in the first place, because I personally just got tired of seeing these issues being blatantly lied about, because there really is no excuse for any of us that have internet access now. Everything in human history we can almost find on the internet. A great search engine called Google. You can research everything. There's really no excuse for ignorance in the United States in the majority of cases. You can look most things up. Do a lot of people do that? No, and that's a shame, because that's how corporations and politicians get away with what they do.